Hello, everybody. This is Bror Erickson, pastor at Zion Lutheran Church in Farmington, New Mexico, um, and also the translator and writer for 1517 and other fine journals and blogs. Uh, but today I wanted to approach you and just welcome you to go on a trip with me to the Holy Land with Biblical Journeys. Um, it's a trip that's going to be around this book here, With My Own Eyes by Bo Geertz. It's a book that I translated and published this last year. It's been selling really well. People are really enjoying it. I get a lot of positive comments back on With My Own Eyes. For those of you who don't know, Bo Geertz was a bishop in the 20th century, Gothenburg, Sweden. He traveled extensively in his younger days, and one of the things that he did is he went to Palestine, and he was studying at that point to become a pastor under one of the greatest exegetes of the 20th century, Anton Friedrichsen, and they were struggling with liberalism. They knew something was wrong with it, but they weren't quite sure. And then they went to the Terra Sacra, or the Holy Land, and just read you what Bo Geertz's reaction to that trip was. He records later, that half year cured me of my liberal theology. I could read my Bible with completely new eyes. It smelled of earth and daily life. It reflected a reality that one could still see with their own eyes. Many of the theories and arguments that the radicals regarded as irreversible all fell together like a house of cards. They were desktop productions, wisdom of the Western ivory tower that assessed the Oriental environment based on its own narrow conditions. So the result has often been just as time-stamped and short-lived as the starched cuffs these authors used to wear. So that was his reaction. Him and Anton both, when they went there, the New Testament took on new perspective for them. And what Bo Geertz does then is he writes this book in order to really share that experience with his people. He loved the church. He loved laymen. He wanted to talk to them. He didn't really get involved with academic debates or anything like that. He could if he wanted to, and every once in a while he'd step in. But for the most part, he just thought, let the academics fight amongst themselves. They're doing less harm over there. I want to talk to my people. He was a bishop that just cared about his pastors and all the people in his diocese immensely. And so he writes this. Some people might call it a Jesus novel or a Vie de Jesus. He writes it using his experience there. He took extensive notes and diaries. Anton told him to walk every valley and every hilltop and take notice of all the flowers and the rocks and everything like that. And he was a naturalist. Sometimes when I'm translating him, it takes me a long time to find what he's talking about, because it'll be some obscure part of architecture or some scientific name for a plant, whatever, and it'll throw you off for a bit. But anyway, this journey that we're going on, it's going to be 2 weeks in Israel, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. We're going to start actually in Jordan, and the reason for that is a lot of what the book talks about takes place there. For you Indiana Jones fans, we're going to go see Petra, where all of that takes place. But we're also going to have a concentration on John the Baptist there, talking about what he was about, because of course all the Gospels start with John the Baptist, and then so we're going to spend about 2.5, 3 days down there in Jordan by the Dead Sea, looking at things there, looking at what John the Baptist was doing in that area. And then we're going to go up to Galilee, where the gospel continues. And from Galilee, we're going to go down to the Engedi and everything. We're going to end up in Jerusalem. Actually, the last day is going to be kind of a free day in Jerusalem, and that's going to be my birthday. So we're going to see what kind of mischief we can get into there. I'm debating a tattoo. I'm not sure yet, but debating it. Anyway, we're going to have just a great time. Great accommodations. They're going to, we got porters taking our bags and stuff. If you've ever traveled, I used to travel and I would just throw stuff on my back and I'd be gone for 2 weeks, sometimes a month, with carrying all my luggage on my back. I would be half broke, and I hadn't anticipated expenses, so I'd be sleeping on a park bench in Zurich or something like that. But this is going to be a totally different experience, because you're going to pay for everything up front, except for incidentals and whatnot. So you're going to have a hotel to stay in. You're going to have the transportation you need, and people are going to be taking your bags and everything like that. And now that I'm 42, it sounds a lot better than sleeping on park benches. Although the romantic in me still kind of wants to do that, Laura won't let me. Don't know why. Anyway, we're going to have a great time with this trip. And I want to invite you. There's a link here that I put up in case you're interested in going on this trip with us. Johann Hinderly and his wife Sonia, friends of mine from 1517. They've done this many times, and they're very practiced at it. They know all of the things. I'm going along. I get to see this place once again. I went when I was younger. I went and stayed in hostels with a group from college. It was kind of my senior trip. Somehow, I was planning on Cancun, ended up in Israel, but it was better. We stayed in hostels and whatnot. We kind of made our way, but this is going to be just a great trip. Basically, I'm going to stop. I'm going to read sections of the book from time to time. I'm going to share other insights that Bo Geertz has. I just finished up translating his commentary on the Synoptic Gospels. So I'll be bringing some of that stuff to the table too. And just talking about his life and the different changes that he went through theologically as a young man. Really, it's going to be a good time. This trip, if you go on it with us, you're not going to be left to yourself to figure out what's what. This is going to put flesh on the bones for you. When after this trip, when you open up your New Testament, you are going to see things completely differently than you have before. It's going to give you depth to your understanding of what's going on and what Jesus is talking about here. So we want to just extend that invitation to you and welcome you to come along with us on that trip. I thank you very much. Amen.